Well, it's time now to review headlines on today's newspapers with the Ombudsman of This Day and Arise Media Group and This Day Newspaper Limited Group Executive Director Kayode Komolafe. Good morning, KK. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Ochi. Welcome back. Good morning, Steve. And good morning, Adiswa.
All right, so let's move into the newspaper review quickly. We'll start with This Day on Sunday, as usual. And we'll start with the lead story because it's today is all about the 10th anniversary of the Chibok girls. And of course, KK, you will find this story in practically all the newspapers. And This Day captures it this way. At 10th anniversary, CAN demands release of remaining Chibok schoolgirls. The writers says incident can be swept under the carpet. Borno government pledges to rescue 89 remaining schoolgirls. Culture of impunity shielded abductors from facing injustice, says Mohammed Oyebode, who, Dr. Aisha, whom we spoke with earlier in the program. There are other stories on the cover of This Day. On top of the lead story, ahead of NEC meeting, PDP governors move against Atiku Wike over control of parties' structures. And on top of that is the story that Oji just read out, what is happening, the escalation of, the war, shall we say, in the Middle East. Tension as Iran launches drone attacks on Israel. That's on page 5 of today's This Day. And to a very cheery one on the window of today's paper, This Day, in groundbreaking report, Goldman Sachs predicts Nigeria to become 5th world's largest economy by 2075. Forecast puts country ahead of Egypt, Brazil, Germany, UK, Japan, Russia, France, South Africa, and others. That's a report from Goldman Sachs there, predicting that by 2075, Nigeria will most likely become the world's 5th largest economy. We're already Africa's largest economy as of today. So it won't be a bad idea to be 5th largest economy. Last but not the least is the story on page 6. And the headline says, I will liberate Rivers people from oppression, says Fubara. That's the Rivers State governor. The cover story, Long Live the King, showing the Minister of State for Education, Dr. Tanko Sununu, and the Oba of Benin, Oba Iware II, as well as the Vice Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Olufemi Peters, during the installation of the monarch as the Chancellor of the university in Abuja yesterday. Those are the stories on the cover of This Day. KK.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Even though it's obvious from the content of the morning show since morning and, like we said earlier, the front pages of all the newspapers, that perhaps we'll start on a slightly different note by looking at the front page photo of This Day today. And that is to say that I'm sure Adishwa will agree with me if I say Oba Gatokpe, that congratulations to Oba of Benin on his installation as the Chancellor of the Open University. Like I said, this is a very somber occasion that we are having, the grimmest of milestones, a very grim milestone. That today is exactly 10 years that 276 children, students of Chibok, secondary school, were taken away, and now we are still having tens of those girls then who biologically, they will be women now, still in captivity. Now the front page, the lead story of This Day on Sunday is quite appropriate. It's expected, like I say, it's wonderful. In fact, it will be talking about topicality in journalism. It will be quite odd for any newspaper not to have a Chibok story on his front page. I think there will be something wrong with the judgment of the editor that will not see they're talking about, in that of the year.
It's an offense that will go beyond surcharge.
Thank you very much, Steve. You yourself being a distinguished editor, that because if you are talking about, the relevance, the humanity, of what is involved, it is actually the story of the day, and that is why I really commend the way the Morning Show has devoted so much, time to it, because we are talking of lives of human beings, and all this we talk about is about humanity, is about the lives of human beings, of this politics, economic calculation, about all that. You have to reduce it, to the human content. Now, the riders, to the lead story of this day, perhaps, capture some of the lessons of what was the conclusion that we may draw from it. And that is, I think it's possible to emphasize one aspect of it, and that is that despite the grim situation, that there is still, we can see the glimmer of hope. For instance, the call by Khan, that government should still work hard and ensure the freedom, of those who are in captivity. That is a message of hope, that even after 10 years, these Nigerian citizens, are being in captivity, that people still have them. And also the Borno State government also giving the assurance that government is working, to ensure they are released. So I think that the aspect of hope, should be, should give encouragement that we should not give up, because, and that leads to the other conclusion, and that conclusion is that the story of the Chibok girls, says something about the culture of accountability in the Nigerian society. I think we must emphasize this, that every Nigerian life should be accounted. If somebody there is an accident or a crime, is dead, let it be documented that that person is dead. If it is missing, we should be able to know where to locate, and then efforts should continue, to ensure it's a freedom. But when you look at the whole story of Chibok girls in the last 18 years, one thing is that, in fact, at times you don't even have the figures correct. For instance, how many of those girls are still in captivity? From the program this morning, you see, figures will come up. Some 87, 89. Some 91,
well, the
90.
The government is saying it's 89.
89.
So they put it as 89.
Yes, I've also read a report that even say that it's maybe about 100, or even more than 100. Now, even initially, when the accident happened, 10 years ago, it took days before we even came about the figure of 276.
Yes.
Because I remember, one of your guests, pointed out earlier, on the program, that for the first few weeks of the adoption, the government did, instead of moving quickly for you had to set up a panel to examine, the authenticity of the story, whether girls were actually, yes, it happened here. Yes, I remember, we made up of.
The governor, Kashim Shettima, said that it took the former President Jonathan 19 good days before he could call him.
Yes, that is understandable. I'm saying that, the government of, had to set up a panel, and what is part of the panel, not to work on the operations of moving against Boko Haram,
but to find out if indeed what they claim happened.
We may have forgotten now. If you put out the film, there were people on television were saying that, are you sure any girl is missing?
Yeah. Well, what is the result
there was a case.
let
me just remind you. There was a case of. There was one incident. The bring back our girls movement. They had a demonstration of Abuja. And I think a woman was interviewed. They said, okay, whether our daughter was one of those people, and then she said no, and then begins to say now, see how they are lying, that this woman has said I mean, that the woman said her daughter was not missing. So why was she, part of it, So that was the mood then. I mean, we should not forget, because if we are going to draw lessons, I mean, the correct story, must be told. I mean, the truth, of what happened, which is what I want to expect, that on this occasion, that government should have done a proper auditing, of what happened, so that we get the true story of what happened, and then we're able to draw, the correct story.
We can find ways to make sure that this doesn't occur again. And this is the main point of that panel, that level of transparency and accountability. Earlier on the show, like we said, that we had Mohammed Oyobode, and in that rider on this day, says culture of impunity shielded abductors from facing justice. And which is the main point, really. Because if we don't have this transparency, if we don't have this accountability, we don't know what really is going on, how can we avoid this incident from occurring again? The other guest we had on the show, which was a question I wanted to pose, Ayo Obe, she talked about the fact that, these militants, they want to repent. And, I wanted to ask her, as a lawyer, is this, I mean, because we know that this has faced a lot of criticism, this rehabilitation of these Boko Haram terrorists into the society. Some of them are still married to our girls at this point. What court of law did they go to? Who freed them?
Who collected dowry?
Who collected dowry? Who collected dowry on their behalf? But how is it okay for them to say, I have repented?
Talking about
how is that okay?
I think talking about that specifically, we honestly, we need structures. Even in Rwanda, where after the genocide, where they had the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, where, you did have people who repented, not necessarily went to jail, but because of this lack of transparency in this process, because there's a lack of, even how much do we know that they're supporting even the girls themselves, how much of these programs,
and they still want to keep
we are using taxpayer money to fund these amnesty programs, to fund these rehabilitation programs, and we have very little knowledge of how effective they are, what the ramifications are, what tier of a fighter, if maybe somebody, as she said, some of these Boko Haram kidnappers were kidnapped themselves versus maybe some who are active militant combatants for long periods of time. So those are different levels of people who are re-entering society. And I actually think that this is incredibly important. Because there was a story that came out, I believe today on Sahara Reporters, that one of these repentant Boko Haram members who was taken into our army was just arrested for allegedly killing a young girl who is also from Borno, where he's from Bui in Borno, which is a very intense region in Borno State. So this, as you're saying, this case of rehabilitating, I think it's something that
has to be added. We need information. We need to know who these people are and why it was okay for them to be rehabilitated back into the society.
Well, should we take?
Yes, we have about a minute, KK. Maybe we should take this day style really quickly. And the cover picture there is Pelumi Nubi, the road warrior. I missed her story. I was away. I watched everything online. Congratulations to this woman. I mean, from January 24th to April 7th, she's 27 years old. She had, traveled from London to Lagos. She took that solo trip, and I believe also she was given a car by the Lagos State Governor, which was a huge deal. I mean, she made history as a tourism ambassador. She arrived in Lagos, and everyone has supported her. Congratulations to her.
Congrats to her.
All right. I guess
I was hoping that we could quickly look at Tribune because of the Yoruba Nation thing that happened. I mean, too short as Yoruba Nation agitators invade Oyo State
Another report said 3.
Another report said 3. I mean, very in few words, what are your thoughts? I mean,
it's in
today's Nigeria.
I mean, a tragedy, really. I think what you said, I mean, the rule of law should prevail. The matter should be properly investigated, and the law must take, its course on the matter, so that lessons. I mean, people will be taught. Those who are bent on doing a similar thing in the future. Will be taught the lesson. But it's really a tragedy.
And the police have a lead anyway, because there's a viral video of a lady, who had like a broadcast and was saying, so much nonsense with impunity. Exactly. There's a lead for, But thankfully, both Sunday Igboho and Professor Olutoye have come out to say that we don't know anything about it. This has got nothing to do, with the movement that they have, and you know,
that is why the investigation must be thorough.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Mr. Komolafe, always
Thank
a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, KK.
Thank you
very much.